if you watch the show, you know that the opposition walking out of Parliament is not something that is rare. It's actually somewhat, regular. At the very least, every now and then it happens when the opposition takes umbrage to how the debate is being managed or how the conversation is going. This time, we have a very interesting situation as the Speaker of the House is trying to steer the debate towards a certain direction, and members present. In fact, one of the individuals is not a member of the House. Actually keeps looking to backtrack. So, for more, let's cue this.
Well, the Privy Council said it was not unconstitutional.
Member for Superior, remember it's just a limited amendment. You are quite experienced. I've allowed you some leeway if you could just deal with the amendment as it is and not rehash things.
I am guided. But there must be, why are we here and what are we correcting?
I fully understand what you are saying, and I understood what you said up to the point when I made the intervention, that you have explained why we're here and the consequences. What I am limiting you in is going back into the debate with respect to the Privy Council decision, with respect to calling the elections now, etc. I'm not allowing that.
Thank you so much. And Madam Speaker, I think it would be very unfair if I were not able to put forward why we objected to that clause 5.
I am almost certain that you're not trying to say that the ruling is unfair, okay?
No, not.
I'm almost certain you're not saying that. But again, I repeat, you're quite aware of the standing orders.
And he said it has to do with the de facto doctrine.
Again, we're running afoul of the same thing. In this debate, the AG has said nothing. We're dealing with the clause, which is the deletion.
So, Madam Speaker, because the AG has come here and stayed totally silent, we cannot debate this matter to give or support it or not give or support. I feel that is objectionable with the greatest of respect. Because if nobody on that side gets so we are not allowed to speak
Member for Superior, on matters. I believe you started talking at 2:19. It is 2:33, so I don't think it will be accurate to say that your side is not being allowed to say anything. You have been allowed a lot, but once you keep within the confines of the standing orders, of course.
Take total objection to this course of action, and I will not participate in this debate. And we should all leave. This is
Attorney General,
not democracy. Total not democracy.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Members, if you have a right to leave. Member for Princestown and member for St. Augustine, you all do have a right to leave if you wish. Please don't disrupt the proceedings.
In anticipation.
Member. Member for Princestown. Member for Princestown, I would ask you to apologize for your outburst. You are too senior for this type of behavior.
Madam, I apologize, but it changes nothing.
Okay. Member, I want an unconditional apology. Please keep your emotions under control.
I apologize.
Thank you very much. Attorney General. So, AG,
yes.
The same thing. I really tried to...
Sorry, Madam Speaker.
I really tried to contain the member for Superior. I will allow you to respond to anything that was said here today. Unfortunately, we're not backpedaling.
The decision.
Okay, so AG, as I said, we really are so limited in this debate, and this debate is only about deleting certain words, okay, in clause 5. It's not the entirety of clause 5. I allowed you to respond based on certain things that were said by Superior. But, you know, I'm not going to allow anybody to stand here and carry this debate outside of the very limited remit which we have today.
That was interesting because that was where the whole proceedings, well, that part of the proceedings ended. The session in Parliament was I think a lot shorter than anticipated, and as I said, it was not necessarily just the opposition that was running afoul of the standing orders yesterday. The AG himself also tried to politically campaign the broader issue to some degree, whether it was in response to what the opposition leader said or not. That could be debated. I didn't necessarily pay too much attention there. What I did pay attention to is the fact that when the opposition leader said, well, because the AG didn't say anything, we can't say anything, I think what the speaker meant, Ketan, was that you're not responding to the AG, so, you know, you can't have the leeway to rehash too far outside of what the standing order says with regards to what is actually on the amendment. So if the opposition leader was responding to something, that would have been different. But as she is for whatever reason speaking first or before the AG, there's nothing to respond to. So it changed the dynamics quite considerably, and I don't know if perhaps it might have been a strategy that left the opposition a bit in a bind, not knowing what to do.
Whom I often do not give credit to, given past instances of which I believe that her position, her role as Speaker of the House, she did not execute her responsibilities and duties. That should have been best. However, I will admit that this time I thought personally that she seemed to have acted in a much more mature, better manner, and that's refreshing to see. I will admit, and I'm speaking generally now, this is just one video, but I will say that over the last week, I am very, very turned off by the reports coming out from parliamentarians and their conduct during debates, whether it be that from independent senator, not independent, my apologies, government senator Sagram Singh Suklal and her comments towards opposition senator Jayanti Lakshmi, even the allegations surrounding opposition senator Jayanti Lakshmi using obscene language. We're all human beings, I understand that, but there's no need for that, and I was very disappointed to hear about such allegations on the part of opposition senator Jayanti Lakshmi. You would think, or you would expect, that she would know better and do better. Beyond that, this walkout from the opposition, as we would have seen yesterday. If you want to walk out, walk out. You know, I'm tired of saying that I do not think it is the best way to conduct business. If you're saying that how you want to make your contributions, you want to speak, all right? You are getting the opportunity to do so. You are being reprimanded on the stance that, listen, we're not going back, we're going forward. You know, we can't continue to rehash certain things. The opposition the opposition leader seemed very unhappy about that, and she staged a walkout. All right, cool, fine, go ahead, stage your walkout. That just means the entire debate and conversation is flushed out. And then, you know, simple majority legislation, you don't even need to be sitting in Parliament for that to pass. But beyond that, if you are walking out, why is it that you have to act in such a manner to further disrupt the proceedings of the House? I don't think that members of the House on both sides understand the honor and the privilege they have in sitting in that position. 41 of you were elected to from the Trinidad and Tobago citizenry by the Trinidad and Tobago citizenry. And you're walking out, and the conduct and the speech by MP Barry Padarath and furthermore Khadija Amin. Again, the best way that the Speaker of the House put it was, you are senior, you are mature, You're supposed to understand and know these things. Why would you get on like that? Why would you act in that manner? We can all understand and relate to frustrations. You can make your arguments about democracy. There's nothing wrong with that. But in doing so, there's a certain decorum of which you should practice. And I believe, Sean, we have lost that. I believe we have lost that amongst our parliamentarians.
Well, I actually take umbrage to the line of argument that the opposition took to justify the walkout as they were walking out, right? Again, how is it an affront to democracy when the Speaker of the House is merely enforcing the rules, which she did to the Attorney General? He wasn't speaking for that long after they left for her to get up both times. In fact, his total time speaking was rather short. It makes me wonder if parliamentarians, well, yes, parliamentarians were unprepared, right? Particularly, I do wonder if the opposition was unprepared. This is not the first time I have said this with regards to the Tobago Autonomy Bill. When it was being debated in the House, I found that the opposition were utilizing arguments that, quite frankly, Tobagonians were not utilizing, which made me wonder just what were they, did they even think they were talking about? It seems as though they were saying the things they thought people wanted to hear, as opposed to saying the important points that was relevant to the debate. And that leads me to my next point. I understand, right, that yes, you're the opposition, you're a check on the government. Just because you don't like something does not mean it's an affront to democracy. Just because you're put in a position that you don't like does not automatically mean. It could be, but I'm starting to get very, very wary about the opposition all of a sudden being the chief intellectual proprietors of what is democratic or not democratic, right? When they act in such an unprofessional manner. It undermines the concepts of democracy if you take these things too far.
I would go
right?
one step further, Sean.
It works both ways.
I was just about to say that this is something that is not only the fault of the opposition, it's not only a shortcoming of the opposition, but of government benches as well. Again, using the example of Senator Sagram Singh Sukla last week, it was inappropriate and totally uncalled for. Even the alleged response by Senator Jayanti Lakshmi in the tea room. Beyond that, again, the opposition has every right to raise points. The opposition has every right to disagree. The opposition has every right, if they like to stage a walkout. They have that right, they have that privilege. But at the same time, we as citizens are the ones that are losing out, because the debates do not get to their full potential. And beyond that, if you're staging your walkout, your parliamentary conduct is absolutely poor. And I know that the opposition will be very quick to chastise any government member for any wayward decorum, as would the government criticizing the opposition. Don't get me wrong, as you mentioned, it works both ways. However, it is very hard to take a side seriously in terms of their criticisms when they themselves cannot set an example for parliamentary conduct.
My frustration is more on the opposition because we've seen this song and dance way too often. But you're right. We also, and there's a reason why I wanted to have all of that clip. It took a lot of editing to fit it all in. I wanted to include every single instance of the speaker having to talk, not just to the opposition leader, but also to the AG. Because you literally just watch the speaker admonish the opposition leader for doing a thing, and then you repeatedly do that same thing. So again, it makes me wonder to what extent are parliamentarians truly prepared to debate legislation for the sake of legislating, as opposed to political debates for the sake of campaigning.
Sure, Michael.
And that's what I feel we get more of. We get more campaigning. Those comments towards Jayanti Lakshmi, that was campaigning, right? A lot of what we saw by the opposition leader and the AG, that was campaigning, because the AG wanted to rebut, but the things that he wanted to rebut again, if you're debating something, if you're debating legislature, academically speaking, it's nice. You get a shortcut. These things were done before. You don't have to rehash them.
Sean, we have
It is
to.
understood. That's what was said. It's on the record. Use that to move on and advance the debate faster, as opposed to trying to just keep going and droning, which is what they do on political platforms.